Have you ever felt trapped in the endless loop of negative thoughts, bad habits, and self-doubt? What if I told you that you could begin transforming your mindset in just one day, not years, not months, not even weeks, just one day? The Stoics believed that with conviction, change can happen the moment you decide to change. The decision to shift your mindset does not require waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. With the right principles, you can initiate a mental transformation that will over time become an unshakable force in your life. The secret, you don't just change once and stay that way. No, you commit every day to reinforcing this shift, compounding your efforts until one day you look back and see how far you've come. It all starts with today, the day you choose to think differently, act differently, and see the world through a lens of discipline, clarity, and purpose. But to make this change stick, you must first truly believe it is possible. Without belief, action is empty. Without action, belief is meaningless. This is not a passive lecture. This is a call to action. I will take you through the steps the Stoics themselves used. Steps that, if applied today, will set you on a path to resilience, wisdom, and control over your emotions and reactions. And remember, change begins the moment you decide to take it seriously. But you must commit. No half measures, no excuses. Your mind is the battlefield. Every negative thought, every self-doubt, every moment of hesitation, these are the enemies of progress. But today, you fight back. Today, you choose to take control. Today, you take the first step on the journey of a lifetime. By the time today ends, if you have followed these steps, you will have already changed your mindset. You will see things differently. The process has begun. But this is not the end. It is just the first step. Tomorrow, you must do it again, and the next day, and the next week, the next month. Over time, these daily shifts compound into an unstoppable force, a resilient, disciplined, and wise mind that can handle anything life throws its way. The day you look back at your journey, you will realize that this one day, the day you decided to change, was the most important day of your life. So let me ask you, are you ready? Are you willing to embrace this challenge and change your life? Your transformation begins now. Chapter 1. The Art of Perception, Controlling Your Thoughts. Your perception is your reality. The way you see the world shapes your emotions, your decisions, and ultimately, your life. The Stoics understood that suffering is not caused by external events, but by our interpretation of those events. This means that two people can experience the same situation, yet have completely different reactions based on how they choose to perceive it. Consider a rainy day. One person might see it as an inconvenience, something that ruins their plans and dampens their mood. Another might see it as an opportunity, an excuse to slow down, to read, to reflect, or to enjoy the calming sound of raindrops against the window. The external event is the same. The difference lies in perception. The ability to control how you interpret life's events is one of the most powerful mental shifts you can make. The Stoics believed that we suffer not because of what happens, but because of how we judge what happens. Our emotions then are largely in our control, provided we learn to master our perceptions. To truly grasp this, think of past events that once upset you. Perhaps a job rejection, a failed relationship, or a missed opportunity. At the time, it may have felt like the worst thing in the world. Yet looking back, you may now see that those moments led to growth, new opportunities, or even better circumstances. The event itself did not change. Only your perception of it evolved over time. Now imagine if you had chosen to adopt that perspective immediately. How much unnecessary suffering could you have avoided? Training your perception means becoming aware of your immediate reactions and challenging them. Instead of letting your emotions dictate your response, pause and ask yourself, am I seeing this clearly? Is my judgment clouded by frustration, fear, or ego? This practice alone can shift your mindset dramatically in a single day. The moment you take responsibility for how you interpret the world, you take responsibility for your peace, your happiness, and your mental freedom. But what does this really mean in practical terms? It means that every external event, no matter how frustrating or disappointing, presents an opportunity for growth. If you choose to see it that way, the Stoics understood that the mind is like a sculptor shaping the material of experience into meaning. If you train yourself to interpret setbacks as lessons, conflicts as tests of patience and difficulties, as exercises in resilience, you begin to master life instead of being mastered by it. The truth is, most people go through life reacting without thinking. They allow their emotions to dictate their responses, living as if they are at the mercy of their environment. But you don't have to live this way. When you decide to become the gatekeeper of your mind, to filter negativity and unhelpful assumptions before they take hold, you begin to take control of your entire existence. So today, commit to this challenge. View every inconvenience, every frustration, and every obstacle as a chance to practice the mindset of a Stoic. When you encounter resistance, whether it's in the form of difficult people, unforeseen delays, or inner self-doubt, pause, reflect, reframe. Ask yourself, how can I use this to train my mind with this approach? You do not just shift your mindset for a day. You begin to build a lifetime of mental strength. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about the last time something upset you. Was it the actual event, or was it the story? You told yourself about the event. If someone ignored your message, did you assume they didn't like you, or did you consider that they might be busy? This is the power of perception. Now take it a step further. Have you ever found yourself rethinking an event long after it happened, making it bigger, more painful, or more significant in your mind than it actually was? Perhaps you assumed that a person's indifferent glance meant they were upset with you, or that a short reply from a friend indicated they no longer valued your friendship. But what if none of these assumptions were true? What if you had simply inserted your own fears, insecurities, and past experiences into the situation, creating a false narrative? And what if I told you it actually doesn't matter? You define your own value and your own worth, not external people or circumstances. If a friend no longer values your friendship, or a relationship ended after stagnation, consider it as something that was meant to happen to shape you into who you are right now and who you will continue to become. Controlling your thoughts is not just about the perception of external events, but also your internal dialogue and mindset. This creates the iron mindset that is unshakable. Imagine someone loses their job unexpectedly. They could perceive it as a personal failure, believing they weren't good enough, that they were disposable. Or they could choose to see it as an opportunity, a sign that it's time to pivot, to grow, to pursue something greater. The same event, but two completely different mindsets. The individual who understands their own worth does not attach it to a title, a paycheck, or external validation. Instead, they recognize that their value is inherent, independent of the circumstances they find themselves in. This shift in thinking doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with a single decision: to refuse to let outside forces dictate your sense of self. Each time you feel rejected, overlooked, or undervalued, remind yourself, I define my worth. When you internalize this, you become immovable. You are no longer a prisoner to opinions, to fleeting relationships, or to momentary setbacks. You become the master of your own mind, and that is true freedom. Your perception does not just influence how you feel in the moment. It shapes your actions, your reactions, and ultimately, your reality. If you interpret every setback as an attack, you will live defensively. If you perceive mistakes as personal failures, rather than opportunities to learn, you will avoid risks and stay stagnant. But if you can begin to question your assumptions, to recognize that your initial reaction is just one possible interpretation, you reclaim control over your mindset. Today, as you move through your day, notice when a thought arises that assumes the worst. Pause and ask yourself, is this absolutely true? Do I have concrete evidence? Or is this just my interpretation? If you train yourself to challenge your perceptions, you will find that most of your worries dissolve before they have the chance to take hold. Chapter 2. The power of accepting what you can't control. Imagine holding a rock in your hand. No matter how hard you try, you cannot turn it into gold. Many people waste their energy trying to control what is simply beyond them. They obsess over how others perceive them, over the outcomes of their efforts, and over the uncontrollable forces of nature, society, and time. But this struggle is futile. The Stoics understood that anxiety and frustration stem from focusing on things outside our grasp. The Stoics had a solution. Focus only on what is within your control. Let go of the rest. When you accept this, a weight lifts off your shoulders. You no longer feel the need to fix everything, to control people's reactions, or to force life to conform to your desires. Instead, you shift your energy to what truly matters: your choices, your actions, and your responses. Consider a dedicated, hardworking person, working Monday through Friday, giving their best effort each day. One day, despite all their hard work, they are passed over for a promotion. They could let frustration consume them, believing that their efforts were wasted and that they were undervalued. But what if they viewed it differently? What if they saw it as a chance to improve, to sharpen their skills, or to seek new opportunities elsewhere? What if they focused not on the external decision that was out of their control, but on their own ability to grow and adapt? A life is filled with these moments, when things don't go as expected, when setbacks appear unfair, when effort doesn't yield immediate rewards. But your focus should remain on your internal mastery, rather than the uncontrollable external. Instead of dwelling on rejection, see it as feedback. Instead of being disheartened by obstacles, view them as tests of resilience. The person who persists, who refines their skills, who keeps showing up with discipline and intention. This is the person who ultimately succeeds, not because the world finally bends to their will, but because they refuse to let external circumstances dictate their inner resolve. This shift in thinking is not just about peace of mind, it's about effectiveness. When you stop wasting energy on things beyond your power, you free up mental and emotional resources for what you can influence. You become more productive, more present, and more at peace with the way life unfolds. The next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, am I trying to control something that is not mine to control? If the answer is yes, step back, refocus, and place your effort where it truly counts, on your own thoughts, actions, and attitude. That is where true power lies. Epictetus, the former slave turned philosopher, taught, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. This principle is deceptively simple but profoundly powerful. Consider how much unnecessary stress people bring upon themselves by trying to control things beyond their reach, the opinions of others, the outcomes of situations, or even the past. The Stoics believed that true freedom lies in surrendering this futile struggle and instead focusing all one's energy on what is within their command, their thoughts, actions, and responses. Imagine a person who constantly worries about whether their friends, family members, or coworkers respect them. They analyze every small interaction, replaying conversations in their mind, trying to gauge how they were perceived. Yet no amount of overthinking will ever give them absolute control over another person's mind. What is within their control, however, is how they conduct themselves. They can choose to be professional, to work with integrity, and to cultivate self-respect. If they focus on these things, their confidence will naturally grow, and ironically, they will likely gain more respect from others as a result. The lesson from Epictetus is not about passivity, but about strategic focus. By accepting what you cannot change, you free yourself from wasted energy and open the door to self-improvement and mastery over your own life. This is the path to true happiness and freedom. Make a list. Write down your biggest stressors, then divide them into 2 columns: things I can control and things I cannot control. Every time you catch yourself worrying about something outside of your control, consciously let it go and focus only on what you can do. Chapter 3: Discipline over emotion. The power of response. You cannot control external events, but you can control your response to them. This is where your true power lies. Every day presents moments that test your patience, resilience, and emotional discipline. A long, exhausting workday, an unexpected expense, a rude customer, an unexpected sudden event, like dropping and breaking an item. These are things that might provoke frustration, anger, or anxiety. But the Stoics teach us that it is not the event itself that disturbs us, but our judgment of the event. Consider someone who faces constant criticism at work. They could allow it to crush their confidence, or they could use it as a tool for self-improvement. If they view feedback, even harsh feedback, as an opportunity to refine their skills and develop thicker skin, they transform what could be a source of stress into an advantage. Likewise, someone who encounters a rude customer can react with irritation, fueling negativity, or they can see it as an opportunity to practice patience and self-control. The choice is always ours. Your emotional response is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Every time you resist reacting impulsively, every time you pause before responding, you strengthen your ability to act with wisdom rather than emotion. This is why the Stoics placed great emphasis on self-mastery, because mastery of the self means mastery over life's unpredictable challenges. The key to emotional discipline is consistency. You don't become mentally resilient overnight. It is the daily choices you make, choosing patience over irritation, understanding over resentment, and rationality over impulsiveness, that forge the unshakable mind. Picture someone training in the gym. They don't just build a muscular physique immediately. They build muscle and endurance gradually with consistency and disciplined action. Emotional control works the same way. Each time you override a knee-jerk reaction, you strengthen your ability to maintain composure in the face of adversity. To develop this control, consider small daily exercises that reinforce emotional discipline. When stuck in traffic, instead of complaining, use the moment for deep breathing or mindful reflection. When an unexpected bill arrives, rather than panicking, calmly assess your options and strategize a solution. If you have an argument with a family member or a colleague speaks to you harshly, resist the urge to retaliate and instead take a step back. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy, or what is the wisest way to handle this situation? These micro decisions train you to respond, not react, helping you become someone who moves through life with intention and clarity. Moreover, remind yourself that emotions are fleeting. The anger you feel now will not exist in the same form tomorrow. The frustration that arises from an inconvenience will fade. What matters is whether you allow these emotions to dictate your actions in the present moment. A person who masters their emotions masters their destiny. When you begin to observe your emotions without immediately acting on them, you take control of your life in a way few people ever do. Imagine yourself as a mountain calm, solid and unshaken by the storms around you. This is the mental state the Stoics cultivated. They knew that external chaos is inevitable, but inner stability is a choice. The more you practice emotional discipline, the less the outside world will have power over you, and the stronger your ability to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace. So the next time something unexpected happens, take a breath. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is there a wiser way to respond? By making this a daily practice, you build the unshakable discipline that allows you to navigate life with calm strength and clarity. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The fear of what might happen is often worse than the event itself. We play out worst-case scenarios in our minds, replaying every possible way things could go wrong, even when reality has not yet unfolded. This cycle of overthinking creates unnecessary stress and anxiety, draining our mental energy before anything has even occurred. Consider someone who has an important task to complete or something they want to achieve, or perhaps an important presentation at work, days before they are consumed with worry. What if they forget their words? What if their colleagues judge them? What if they embarrass themselves? They visualize disaster, allowing fear to take control. Yet when the moment arrives, the presentation goes smoothly, or at worst, they stumble slightly but recover. The suffering they endured in their minds far exceeded the actual event. This is the trap of anticipation. We build up fears in our minds, turning them into obstacles larger than they really are. The Stoics understood this and trained themselves to confront reality as it is not as they fear it might be. Instead of fixating on the uncertainty of the future, they focused on their actions in the present, the one thing they could control. The next time you find yourself trapped in anxious thoughts about what could go wrong, pause, ask yourself, is this actually happening, or am I creating unnecessary suffering in my mind? Redirect your focus to what is real, to what is within your control. By doing so, you take back your power and free yourself from imaginary burdens that never needed to exist in the first place. Before reacting emotionally today, take a deep breath. Pause, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 years? If not, let it go. This simple habit will help you stop overreacting and start responding with wisdom and composure. Chapter 4. Practicing voluntary discomfort, strengthening your mind. Modern life is too comfortable. We avoid difficulty, and in doing so, we weaken our resilience. We take convenience for granted. Climate-controlled homes, instant food delivery, entertainment at our fingertips. While these advancements make life easier, they also make us softer. When real challenges arise, unexpected financial struggles, job loss, personal loss, we find ourselves ill-equipped to handle them. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort to prepare themselves for adversity, ensuring they were never unprepared for life's inevitable hardships. Imagine someone who always takes the easiest route, never pushing themselves physically, never delaying gratification, never stepping outside their comfort zone. When hardship arrives, they crumble. Contrast this with someone who regularly tests their limits, whether through physical endurance, self-discipline, or practicing self-denial. When real challenges arise, they have already trained themselves to endure. The Stoics believed that comfort breeds complacency, while controlled hardship builds strength. By occasionally choosing discomfort, whether fasting, exposing oneself to the cold, or going without luxuries, we strengthen our ability to handle adversity with grace. In doing so, we remind ourselves that we are capable of withstanding more than we think, and that true strength comes not from external security, but from internal fortitude. Think about how modern convenience has conditioned us to avoid even minor discomfort. If we're hungry, we can have food delivered within minutes. If we're bored, we can scroll endlessly on our devices if we're too warm or too cold. A thermostat adjusts to our perfect temperature. While these comforts are beneficial, they also rob us of the ability to endure even the slightest hardship. When we never experience discomfort, we become fragile. We complain about slow Wi-Fi or a long line at the grocery store, forgetting that true adversity exists in life's deepest struggles. The Stoics trained themselves to embrace discomfort, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they knew that suffering is an inevitable part of life. By exposing themselves to discomfort in controlled ways, they built the mental and physical toughness necessary to handle any situation. A simple way to start this practice is by reframing discomfort as a challenge rather than a burden. If you're tired, push yourself to complete a workout instead of resting. If you're tempted to indulge in a luxury practice, delaying gratification. If you're faced with an inconvenience, treat it as an opportunity to build patience. Each of these small actions strengthens your mind, making you more resilient over time. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the teacher that shapes you into someone who can withstand life storms without breaking. Many people avoid discomfort at all costs, believing that struggles should be minimized wherever possible. But what if discomfort was not something to be feared, but rather a tool for transformation? The greatest figures in history, from philosophers to athletes, from warriors to inventors, understood that hardship was an essential ingredient of success. No one achieves anything meaningful by taking the easiest path. Instead, they push through difficulties, endure setbacks, and strengthen themselves through adversity. The Stoics were no different. They believed that voluntarily enduring hardship in small, controlled ways prepared them for the unavoidable suffering life would eventually bring. This is not about making life unnecessarily difficult, but about strengthening your ability to adapt when you deliberately practice voluntary discomfort. You gain the confidence to face real hardship when it comes not with panic, but with calm assurance that you are prepared. This is the mindset that separates the weak from the strong, the reactive from the composed, the fragile from the unshakable. One of the greatest benefits of embracing discomfort is that it makes everything else in life easier. When you have trained yourself to handle controlled hardship, the unexpected challenges of life don't feel as overwhelming. If you've spent time pushing your body to its limits through exercise, a difficult day at work won't seem as mentally exhausting. If you've practiced patience through voluntary inconveniences, you'll find it much easier to maintain composure during real-life frustrations. To integrate this into daily life, consider the moments when you avoid discomfort simply out of habit. Do you reach for your phone the second boredom arises? Do you always opt for the easiest task instead of pushing yourself? Start small. Take a cold shower. Leave your phone in another room for an hour, or choose to walk when you'd normally drive. If you always take the elevator, try the stairs. If you avoid difficult conversations, push yourself to face them. By embracing small hardships intentionally, you prepare yourself for life's bigger challenges with greater ease and confidence. Furthermore, voluntary discomfort strengthens the mind by reinforcing discipline. It rewires your brain to seek out growth rather than convenience. The reason many people struggle with self-improvement is because they associate discipline with suffering. However, when discomfort becomes something you willingly embrace, it transforms from a burden into a tool. You begin to welcome challenges, knowing they will refine you rather than break you. Hardship is a given in life. The question is not if you will face it, but how you will respond. Will you shrink under the weight of difficulty, or will you rise to meet it prepared? Knowing that you have trained yourself for this very moment. When others panic, will you remain calm? When others give up, will you persist? The answer lies in the habits you build today. In the small moments where you choose discomfort over ease, growth over stagnation, the choice, as always, is yours. Try this today. Skip a meal. Take a cold shower. Commit to a daily exercise, whether it is cardio or strength training. These small acts of voluntary discomfort will train your mind to be stronger when real difficulties come. Chapter 5: Gratitude. The Stoic Way to True Wealth. We always chase more, believing that happiness lies in what we lack. We tell ourselves that if we had a better job, a bigger house, or a higher income, we would finally feel fulfilled. But the Stoics taught that happiness does not come from external acquisitions. It comes from appreciating what we already have. The problem with always seeking more is that the finish line keeps moving. Today you might think that earning a higher salary will make you happy. But once you reach that goal, you will set another and even higher salary, a newer car, a better lifestyle. This endless pursuit leaves you in a perpetual state of dissatisfaction, because fulfillment is always somewhere in the future, never in the present. But what if you stopped running? What if you decided at this very moment that you already have everything you need to experience happiness? The truth is, the mind is conditioned to always seek the next best thing, to chase external achievements, believing that they hold the key to lasting contentment. But history, philosophy, and psychology all tell us the same thing. Happiness is an internal state, not an external acquisition. True wealth, according to the Stoics, is not about accumulating more, but about needing less. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to be grateful for what he already possessed, rather than longing for what he did not. If you constantly focus on what is missing, you will never experience contentment. But if you take a moment to recognize the blessings you already have, your health, your relationships, the simple pleasures of life, you will realize that you have enough. Think about the last time you desperately wanted something: a promotion, a new gadget, a certain lifestyle. When you finally attained it, how long did that satisfaction last? Days, weeks, perhaps only a few hours? This is the nature of human desire. Once we obtain what we crave, we adapt to it, and the feeling of excitement quickly fades. It's a never-ending cycle. Unless we choose to step off the treadmill and redefine what success and happiness truly mean. Imagine waking up every day feeling that nothing is missing in your life, not because you have everything you could ever want, but because you have trained your mind to focus on what is already abundant. This is not a denial of ambition. It is the foundation upon which sustainable success is built. When you are constantly yearning for more, you operate from a place of lack. But when you recognize the value in what you have, you move through life with a sense of fullness, making better decisions, appreciating each moment, and finding joy in the simple things. Happiness is not a future destination. It is a present choice. It is about shifting your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from lack to appreciation. Instead of constantly looking at what you do not have, remind yourself of what you do. Gratitude is a discipline, and like any discipline, it must be practiced daily. When you train yourself to appreciate the present moment, you free yourself from the endless cycle of wanting more and begin to experience true peace. A simple yet powerful exercise is to pause throughout your day and take inventory of the present moment. The breath in your lungs, the sun on your skin, the companionship of a loved one, the opportunity to learn and grow. These are the riches of life that many overlook. When you stop postponing happiness and instead anchor yourself, in gratitude you no longer chase fleeting rewards. You embody the wisdom of the Stoics, living in alignment with what truly matters. To deepen this practice, remind yourself that there are countless people in the world who would trade places with you in an instant. The things you take for granted, your health, access to clean water, the ability to read and learn, the security of a home, are dreams for someone else. When you see your life through this lens, gratitude becomes not just an exercise, but a natural state of mind. You stop yearning for what is out of reach and start valuing what is already within your grasp. The greatest irony is that the moment you stop needing more is when you actually start attracting more. When you let go of attachment and approach life with appreciation, you create a mindset of openness, confidence, and peace. This is the true Stoic secret to wealth, not an accumulation of material things, but a mind that is rich in perspective, patience, and wisdom. Do not indulge in dreams of having what you do not, but take time each day to reflect on the greatest blessings you do possess. Consider how much you would long for them if they were taken away. What you have now you once wished for, and what you take for granted, another person prays for. Train your mind to recognize abundance in the present. For true wealth is measured not by what you acquire, but by your appreciation of what already exists. Before you sleep tonight, think of 3 things you are grateful for, and think about the next day as a gift that is not guaranteed. The next day is never guaranteed. Cherish every day. You have every morning. You wake up and fill your lungs with air. This small habit will shift your focus from lack to abundance. Chapter 6, The Power of Daily Reflection. Learning from every experience. The Stoics believed that true wisdom comes from self-examination. At the end of each day, they would reflect on their thoughts, actions, and reactions, asking themselves, did I live according to my principles today? Where did I let emotions control me? What can I do better tomorrow? This practice of daily reflection was their tool for continuous self-improvement. However, this was not merely a passive exercise, it was a tool for action. Self-reflection without correction is useless. The Stoics did not just think about their mistakes, they devised strategies to avoid repeating them. If they lost their temper, they would ask, why did I react that way? How can I better control my emotions? Next time, if they procrastinated, they would analyze what distractions pulled them away from their purpose and put safeguards in place to remain focused. The next day, true self-improvement requires honesty. It demands that we look at ourselves objectively, without justification or excuse. This is not about guilt. It is about responsibility. To the Stoics, every mistake was a lesson, and every shortcoming was a challenge to be overcome. They treated their flaws like an artist refining a masterpiece, never with self-pity, but with deliberate intention. This kind of daily reflection builds an unshakable mind. When you consistently review your actions, you become aware of your habits, patterns, and blind spots. You no longer move through life unconsciously, reacting to the world. Instead, you become proactive, intentional, and disciplined. Imagine the power of improving by just 1% every day. Over time, these small refinements compound into massive personal growth. You may not notice the change immediately, but after a year of daily self-examination, you will look back and see just how far you have come. Seneca wrote, "We should every night call ourselves to an account, What infirmity have I mastered today? What passions opposed? What temptation resisted? What virtue acquired? Reflection is not about judgment. It is about awareness. It is about catching your mistakes and learning from them rather than repeating them mindlessly. When you take time to analyze your behavior, you gain control over it. You stop acting on impulse and start living with intention. Tonight, take 5 minutes before bed to reflect on your day. Ask yourself, where did I succeed in practicing Stoic principles? Where did I falter? Write down one action you will take tomorrow to improve. If you were impatient, decide how you will practice patience. If you were distracted, identify a strategy to regain focus. These small habits repeated daily will transform you into someone who is not just wiser, but also more resilient, self-aware, and unshakable. Chapter 7: Building Unbreakable Willpower. The Stoic way to perseverance, willpower, is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. But like any muscle, if you do not train it consistently, it weakens over time. The Stoics believed that discipline was the path to true freedom, for when you master your impulses, you are no longer a slave to them. True willpower is not just about resisting temptation in the moment. It is about creating a mindset where temptation loses its power over you altogether. Consider the small daily challenges that test your discipline. Waking up early, sticking to a workout routine, avoiding negative impulses and vices, avoiding distractions at work. Each of these moments is an opportunity to strengthen your willpower. The Stoics understood that self-mastery is built in the moments when it would be easier to give in to delay, to procrastinate. Every time you make the harder but wiser choice, you reinforce the ability to do so again in the future. However, willpower is not infinite. It must be managed wisely. If you exhaust your self-control on trivial decisions, you will have less of it available for the moments that truly matter. This is why the Stoics advocated for structured discipline, establishing habits and routines, so that willpower is conserved for the challenges that require it most. Instead of relying solely on motivation, they trained themselves to act according to principles and reason, ensuring that they did what was right, regardless of how they felt in the moment. One of the most effective ways to build willpower is through deliberate resistance, choosing discomfort in small ways to train the mind for greater challenges. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship, whether through fasting, physical exertion, or going without certain luxuries, to remind themselves that they were capable of enduring difficulty. Modern life has made things easy, but ease does not build strength. If you never push your limits, you never expand them. Imagine two people both facing the same obstacle. One has consistently tested themselves through discipline, choosing to push through discomfort, delaying gratification, and maintaining focus despite distractions. The other has always chosen the easy path, indulging in momentary comforts and avoiding difficulties. When adversity strikes, one is prepared, resilient, unshaken. The other collapses under the weight of the challenge. Your daily choices determine which person you will become. Willpower is not about deprivation. It is about liberation. The more you master yourself, the less you are controlled by fleeting urges and external pressures. The true test of discipline is not in extreme acts of self-denial, but in consistently choosing what serves your highest good over what provides momentary satisfaction. The Stoics knew that a person who has mastered their own will can navigate life with clarity, strength, and unwavering purpose. To cultivate this mindset, start with small but intentional exercises in self-control. Instead of pressing snooze, get up on the first alarm. Instead of reaching for your phone first thing in the morning, spend a few minutes in silence and practice mindfulness, deep reflection, or journaling. Instead of giving in to a craving, delay it by 30 minutes and observe how your mind reacts. These micro decisions, when compounded over time, transform your ability to stay disciplined, making you not only mentally tougher, but more in control of your own destiny. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To build unbreakable willpower, you must practice self-denial in small, controlled ways. This does not mean stripping yourself of joy or comfort unnecessarily, but rather training yourself to remain steadfast in the face of temptation and distraction. Willpower is like a muscle, and every time you resist an impulse that does not serve you, you strengthen it. The small decisions, choosing to exercise instead of staying in bed, resisting the urge to check your phone every 5 minutes, delaying gratification when making a purchase, all compound over time to create a disciplined and focused mind. Think about how often we allow cravings and emotions to dictate our actions. How many times have you made a decision based purely on impulse, only to regret it later? The Stoics understood that true mastery over life begins with mastery over oneself. If you are at the mercy of your emotions, you are not free. If you constantly seek external validation, pleasure, or comfort, you are not in control. Discipline is what sets apart those who lead their lives with intention from those who drift aimlessly, dictated by fleeting desires. The goal is not just to resist temptations, but to rewire your mind so that these temptations lose their power over you. When you develop a disciplined mindset, you no longer feel deprived. When you say no to distractions, you feel empowered. You realize that you are not avoiding pleasure, but choosing something greater, control over your own destiny. It is in these moments of small self-denial that you build the foundation for unwavering resilience in the face of real challenges. Choose one small act of self-discipline to practice today. Skip sugar in your coffee, take a cold shower, resist impulses and vices, or resist the urge to check social media. The more you practice self-control in the small moments, the more resilient you become when real challenges arise. Chapter 8: Mastering Social Interactions. The Stoic Way to Commanding Respect. The way you carry yourself influences how others treat you. The Stoics understood that true respect is not demanded. It is earned through character, composure, and integrity. People naturally gravitate toward those who exude confidence, self-control, and purpose. If you conduct yourself with dignity and maintain a calm, collected presence, others will take notice. Respect is built in the moments when you remain composed under pressure, when you respond to conflict with measured words, instead of anger, and when you stay true to your values, regardless of external circumstances. A Stoic does not need validation from others because their self-worth is rooted in their principles, not in external approval. This unwavering inner strength is what commands true respect. Think of a leader who never raises their voice, yet holds the room with their presence. They do not seek attention or impose their will forcefully. Instead, their consistency, reliability, and wisdom naturally earn them the admiration of others. This is the power of self-mastery. When you govern yourself with discipline and integrity, you project a quiet strength that makes people respect you, without you ever having to ask for it. By focusing on building your own character, by practicing patience, by speaking with intention, and by standing firm in your convictions, you cultivate an aura of respect that cannot be taken away. People may not always agree with you, but they will respect you because they recognize your consistency, your clarity, and your ability to remain unshaken by external chaos. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." People respect those who are consistent, composed, and principled. Respect is not won through words alone, but through action, discipline, and unwavering commitment to one's values. If you want to command respect, focus less on how others perceive you and more on how you show up in the world, how you carry yourself in moments of adversity, how you maintain your integrity when no one is watching, and how you treat others regardless of their status or ability to benefit you. Respect is earned in the silent choices of everyday life. It is in the way you listen without interrupting, in the way you follow through on your promises, in the way you maintain your composure when confronted with disrespect. It is built when you do the right thing, even when it's inconvenient, when you lead with humility rather than arrogance, and when you stand firm in your principles without the need for validation. The world notices those who are unshakable, those who do not sway with public opinion or external pressures. A person who commands respect is someone who does not chase approval, but instead carries themselves with quiet confidence, knowing that their worth is not dictated by others. By focusing on self-mastery, on discipline, and on unwavering authenticity, you create a presence that naturally demands respect, not through force, but through undeniable strength of character today. Practice leading by example. Speak with clarity, listen with patience, and act with integrity. Notice how your energy influences those around you. True power comes not from seeking approval, but from living with unwavering self-respect. Chapter 9. The Art of Letting Go. Releasing what no longer serves you. One of the greatest obstacles to inner peace is attachment to outcomes, to opinions, to past mistakes, and to the illusion of control. The Stoics believed that clinging to what we cannot influence only leads to suffering and unnecessary turmoil. The key to true freedom is learning to let go, to release the weight of expectations, the need for external validation, and the belief that we can force life to unfold exactly as we wish. Letting go is not about passivity or giving up. It is about recognizing the boundaries between what is within your control and what is not. It is about surrendering the illusion that external events dictate your happiness and embracing the reality that peace comes from within. When you detach from rigid expectations and stop resisting what is, you gain the ability to adapt to flow with life rather than fight against it. Imagine holding onto a rope tied to a heavy anchor, dragging it through every aspect of your life. The longer you hold on, the more exhausted you become. The tighter you grip, the deeper the strain. But the moment you release the rope, you are free. This is what it means to let go, not to lose, but to lighten the burden. You were never meant to carry. The Stoics taught that by letting go of the need for control, you gain something far greater: clarity, resilience, and inner stability. You learn to navigate setbacks with grace, to handle criticism without being shaken, and to move forward unburdened by regret or fear. In doing so, you reclaim your energy and focus on what truly matters: your own actions, thoughts, and character. True power does not come from clinging. It comes from knowing when to release. The moment you master the art of letting go, you step into a mindset that is unshakable, adaptable, and free. Letting go does not mean indifference. It means accepting that you cannot control everything and choosing to direct your energy where it truly matters. Identify one thing that has been weighing on your mind, perhaps a past failure, a grudge, or an expectation. Consciously decide to release it. Say to yourself, "This does not serve me. I let it go." Experience the relief that follows. Chapter 10. Living every day as if it were your last. Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Balance the books of your life each day. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. Every day is a gift. every moment is an opportunity. A chance to shape your thoughts, your actions, and the way you impact the world around you. When you recognize this truth, you stop procrastinating. You stop wasting time on trivial concerns, and you start living with urgency and purpose. Imagine how differently you would approach life if you knew this was your last day. Would you let small annoyances bother you? Would you hesitate to pursue your dreams? Would you leave important words unspoken? The reality is, we never know how much time we have. The only certainty is the present moment. And the only true regret is not having lived fully when you had the chance. Living each day as if it were your last does not mean reckless behavior or abandoning responsibility. Instead, it means living with clarity, intention, and appreciation. It means being present in every conversation, fully engaged in every experience, and conscious of the legacy you're creating. When you embrace this mindset, you begin to live not just with purpose, but with deep gratitude for every second you are given. Do not wait until tomorrow to become the person you want to be. Act today, speak today, love today, because tomorrow is never promised, but right now is yours to make meaningful. Treat today as if it were your last. Tell the people you love how much they mean to you. Pursue what truly matters. Leave nothing unsaid, nothing undone. Live with urgency, with gratitude, and with courage. If you follow these lessons, you will not be the same person you were yesterday. You have taken your first steps toward a mindset that is unshakable, resilient, and wise. But remember, this is not a one-time transformation. It is a daily practice. The power to change your mindset in one day is real, but the power to transform your life comes from doing it every day after that. Look back on today as the day you decided to take control, and let every day forward be a reaffirmation of that decision. The journey continues. The choice is yours. Now go live as the Stoics did, with strength, with wisdom, and with purpose.